Europe's race to boost its military capacity is facing a crucial hurdle. Defense firms are running short of gunpowder, TNT, and other explosives for weapons such as artillery shells and missiles. Bloomberg's Laura Alviz has been looking at this and joins me now. Laura, talk us through what the supply situation actually does look like right now for propellants and explosives, especially with regard to the recent major defense spending plans that were announced out of Europe.
So when it comes to propellants, which is gunpowder, the part that drives the munition forward, and when it comes to explosives, which is what detonates, these parts, they have been identified as major bottlenecks for the European Union's ramp-up of munitions production. And to respond to that, the EU has established some defense company funding programs, and they have also set ambitious targets to increase the production of propellants and explosives. But the issue here is that this does not yet match the new spending that we see both from Europe and also from certain nation states. So this will not be enough. And then also what we hear from companies is that they need to massively ramp up as well. So for example, Rheinmetall, the German defense contractor, they're the biggest producer of propellants in Europe. And they have already said that in order to match this new spending, they will probably have to double their production of propellants throughout the coming years to produce up to 20,000 metric tons of gunpowder per year.
Okay, are there issues to do with supply chains that are affecting some of these ammunition components? Is it a matter of just sorting out those supply chains in order to ramp up volumes?
Yeah, certainly. The supply chain is the main issue because if we look at propellants and explosives, there are many different materials and components that go into this. One example that can be named is cotton. Cotton is kind of the base product for propellants. Another example is nitric acid. So all of these products, they need to come from somewhere, right? And in the past, it wasn't really a priority that they would come from Europe. So they would very often be sourced from places where it's cheaper to produce them, such as, for example, China. So if we look at this from today's perspective, this is obviously a geostrategic concern and also a question that we need to answer with regard to European sovereignty. But then if we look at the finished products, at the producers of propellants and explosives, there are actually relatively few of these companies in Europe. So for example, there is just one single major TNT factory in Europe, in Poland, that needs to serve the entire market. And producers of other specialty chemicals, they're also getting to a point where they are facing unparalleled demand that they're really struggling to meet.
And very quickly, what do you think can be done to mitigate problems with some of these supplies of propellants?
So this is twofold if we look at the companies and if we look at the government. So if we look at the companies, what they can do is they can try to Europeanize their supply chain. So for example, what Rheinmetall has been doing, they've been sourcing cotton linters, which is basically the production process that comes right after the raw cotton, a type of cotton fiber. They've been sourcing those cotton linters increasingly from Europe and from friendly countries. And they've also been stockpiling them. So they now have stocks of those cotton linters for several years to go if it would have to come to that. And then governments, they really need to take the upstream supply chain issues into account. Yeah. They need to not only focus on the propellants and on the explosives, but also on everything that goes into them.